So, having already viewed the lecture on adaptations to aerobic training, we just need to focus now on how we may best elicit those adaptations through programming. We obviously want to improve aerobic performance, meaning we want our athlete to run, cycle, swim, or whatever they do extremely fast. You'll notice all different forms of aerobic training during this video. Okay, there's a bunch of different. I'm rowing, cycling. Actually, some really good-looking guy is rowing, cycling. It's not me. This is just to give you ideas uh, about the various forms of aerobic training that can be done. But for the purposes of this lecture, we'll just pretty much focus on running. But any of this programming that we go over can be utilized for these other forms of aerobic exercises as well. So, to make our athlete run faster, our goal should be to improve maximal aerobic capacity, VO2 max, lactate threshold, the point at which lactate accumulation, exceeds lactate clearance, and exercise economy, basically being efficient with our energy. So, designing a program includes 5 simple and easy steps. First, the mode or type of exercise, as I already said, running. Let's talk about that. Second, we need to know about the frequency or how often. Okay, so this is affected by intensity and duration, as well as training status of the athlete and the specific sport season, whether off-season, preseason, yada, yada, yada. So, higher exercise intensity and longer durations may require less frequent training to allow for adequate recovery. A lesser trained athlete may also require more recovery days than a highly trained athlete. So training sessions more than 5 days a week with several high intensity days has actually demonstrated increased injury rates, whereas if you don't train more than twice a week, you will not elicit changes in VO2 max. So we should be within, that 2 to 5 days a week, but the key is monitoring intensity and duration, focusing, or our key basically being recovery time. So third is intensity. We can monitor intensity by percent of max heart rate. There are 2 ways to find that, and the heart rate reserve is a little more accurate than 220 minus your age. However, that's just the easiest way to do it, is 220 minus your age, and you'll find your pretty much your heart rate max. So we can also use rate of perceived exertion as well as METs, but again, heart rate's just the easiest, and it's highly correlated to a percent of someone's VO2 max. So measure intensity by heart rate. Fourth is our duration. To put it simply, the higher the intensity, the shorter the duration. It's just like you can't have someone perform 10 reps of a bench press at 95% of their 1 RM, right? So that's pretty much impossible, okay? Same concept. You can't have someone run for an hour at 90% of their heart rate max. Just does not work that way. Not to mention, again, it's impossible. Last but not least is exercise progression, step 5. This means we increase frequency, duration, and intensity over a course of time and throughout the seasons. So frequency, intensity, and duration, however, should not increase more than about 10% a week. Again, that's up to you as the strength and conditioning professional to work on. As we look at table 20.4, we can get a good grasp on what type of training we can prescribe, how often, and what that type of training consists of. The main point I would like to make with any training program, aerobic or resistance, is that going below 70% is usually not going to elicit the desired adaptations that you're trying to achieve. Below 70% can be okay as like a training recovery day or a beginner exerciser. But an intermediate or advanced athlete, we need to work to improve the goals mentioned at the start of this video. Now, as a strength and conditioning specialist, are you really going to be designing many aerobic training programs? Not a whole lot. Your job is weight room. And so the track coach or cross-country coach will pretty much be designing this program. However, now it's up to you in the weight room to be designing, something that promotes optimal recovery for them to perform, out on the track or out in the middle of the woods extremely well. And now you're ready to go.